Hi, I'm Dave Koch, and I am a professional photographer. I've been shooting Airbnb architecture, real estate for well over 10 years now in the Salt Lake City and Utah area. And I've actually been called on to go out of town multiple times to do the same sort of thing. So I think that means I'm doing at least a little something right. Anyway, what I want to talk about is how important photography is for your Airbnb. And you must at least partially agree with that idea, and that's why you're here. So let's look at the way Airbnb works. Just to start things off. What is the first thing you see on Airbnb when you see your property? It's an image. And that has got to hook your clients or you're not making a sale. It's as simple as that. So there's nothing that compares to the impact that that image has and how much that is going to affect whether you're going to get that rental or not. So, flat out, the photo is your storefront. The photo is your store. If that image, that first one single hero image, doesn't sell your property, nothing else is going to. The good news is you don't need to do a total remodel to reset that hero image. All you need is new and probably better photography. And that's where a professional photographer comes in. I like to kind of make the aside joke that, I don't drill and pull my own teeth. I go to a professional for that. But the same is true for photography. If you want a good job done, if you want a professional job done, then you go to a professional, someone who specializes in that. And even within dentistry, you have people that specialize in just root canals or extractions or periodontal or whatever. And it's the same with photography. A photographer may be what you need. We'll get into that in later episodes. But the more emphasis you put on the photography for your Airbnb, the more you need to seek out not only an Airbnb photographer, but probably a luxury Airbnb photographer. Now, I hate to read off of papers, but when it comes to stats, I kind of have to because I am not very good at memorizing things. Here is something directly from the Airbnb photography program. I've seen this online myself. I'll put a footnote in the description down below, but Airbnb specifically says professional photos can boost sales earnings by up to 40%, increase bookings by 24%, and allow you to charge 26% more per night. What does that mean to you? That is flat out more money in your pocket. And even if you're looking at $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 for an Airbnb shoot, how quick are you going to earn that back if you're making 26% more per night? If you've got 26% more bookings per year, if you have 100 bookings right now, that's 125 bookings next year. And whatever you pay for that pales in comparison for the money that you're going to make. Photography will give you an ROI that will pay back this year. And you'll be making money next year. Did you know that 60% of people browsing Airbnb don't even read the description? Not at all. They book based on the picture. Again, I cannot emphasize how important your hero image is. That's what's going to sell. And that 60% figure, that comes from the Airbnb community forums where people like you, people who own Airbnbs, discuss what works and what doesn't. You'll see that statistic all over the Airbnb community forums. 60% don't read the description. Now what do you think about your photography? Is it good enough to sell your property? Here's another thing you may or may not know about your Airbnb photography. It has a direct bearing on how often and how high up in Airbnb's results your listing shows. If your listing is not getting enough clicks, Airbnb naturally will start to suppress it because it's not getting the clicks that some of your neighbors with better photography are getting. So if you want to get back up and get shown more on Airbnb, your photography has a direct result. Airbnb's algorithms and AI can tell if the photographs are blurry. And if they are, that's an instant emotion. If they're dark, if they're not getting any response at all, you're going down. The bottom line is people on Airbnb's website look with their eyes. They don't read, they don't do anything else. They look. And if your pictures don't compel them to click and go to the next stage in booking, you've lost that booking. Getting back to the Airbnb search page, the first thing they're going to see is not your ratings, not your description, maybe not even your title. They're going to see your picture, and that has to make an impression. I think I've already said that maybe 100 times, but it bears repeating because that is the most important thing on your listing. If that image does not grab their attention, they're scrolling right past. You're done. You're not even in the competition anymore. As we discussed, over half the people on Airbnb don't even read the description. It's the picture that matters the most. But what else matters? Here we go in order. The 4 things that really matter: your hero photo, then your headline, then your price, then your location. That's what they're looking for. Once you have an image that does get clicks, you're not done yet. Now you go to a page with the 5 images, and your hero image is one of them. Those other 4 need to continue to sell your property. It's a good idea to have an amenities picture, a good wide shot of the living room and or the kitchen. The bedroom, I think, is something that should also be in there. And then you should have a mood shot or a close-up shot or something that builds the atmosphere of your Airbnb. Let's just say if those 5 images are working for you, then people will proceed to the next step. What is an engaging hero image? First of all, and most importantly, it has to be eye-catching. And then it has to be unique. It can't be like the 20 other Airbnbs that they've scrolled to. It has to tell its own story and be unique and say what is special about your property. And then third, it has to have emotion in it. And this is probably where most Airbnbs fail. You don't have emotionally engaging images. You have images that show the space or sell the space. And you want to know whose problem that is? That's yours, because you hired a real estate photographer or an MLS photographer, and that's what they shoot, and that's what you're going to get. If you want something that steps above that, that has that emotion and has that lighting and that feel that makes people want to go there, you're going to need to hire a luxury photographer, not an MLS or real estate photographer. Another reason to focus on somebody with experience with Airbnb photography is the order that you put the pictures in. There's a specific and well-recognized order to the way you show an MLS listing. And a real estate photographer is thinking in that mode. An Airbnb photographer thinks in completely different terms. They're trying to create a story and an emotion and an atmosphere and a feeling with your images. And they put them in a completely different order than you would on the MLS. And it may seem kind of weird at first, but there is a reason for it. Talk to your photographer, figure out, work as a team and create that story and create that desire to book your Airbnb. And that is how you're going to win at this game. I think we've already said this, but it bears repeating. Bad photos will suppress your listing. If you have too dark an image, too light an image, too blurry an image, well, first off, that's going to turn off potential customers, but then that cycles through the whole Airbnb algorithm and lowers your presentation in the search results. And that's just something that's going to keep going and going and feeding on itself until you disappear from the search results. So what can you do about all this? Well, get yourself a good photographer. That's the most important thing. Again, I don't pull my own teeth. I don't do my own root canals. And I don't think you, as someone who's selling a property, who's renting a property, wants to be taking those pictures, those all important pictures on your iPhone. Yeah, iPhones have gotten really, really good. And I use iPhones in certain instances for certain pictures. But you know what? everybody else is doing that too. If you want to stand out, you have got to have a professional come in and raise your quality level of images. And that's where a professional photographer comes in. Let's go back to, going from 100 nights of rental per year to 125. If every night you rent is $300, let's see, I should have done this beforehand. 15 is, that's 7,500 more in 1 year that you're making. And I'm almost 100% guaranteed that your professional Airbnb photographer is not charging that much. If they are, you're not renting it for what I just said. But in any case, you can upgrade your patio for what, $3,000, get a new barbecue out there and do things like that. That'll spur some interest. But if people aren't looking at your listing, they're not going to know what your amenities are. It's the images that are going to be your first, quickest, and believe it or not, least expensive ROI on your listing. So the bottom line is, whether you're looking for more clicks or more bookings or want to raise your rates, the quickest and easiest way to do that is with better photography. Attract better clients with better photography. In our upcoming episodes, we'll talk about lighting and storytelling and how to bring all these together to make your Airbnb a lot more presentable and attractive. In the meantime, I have an Airbnb prep guide. I'd like you to take a look at it and download it. The link is in the description below. And I hope you learned something. Stand by for episode 2. And I am Dave Koch. Thank you very much for watching. May your next shoot be your best shoot.